from a moment so ridiculous you can only laugh, to a world championship solve that looks fake. Here are 5 of the luckiest Rubik's Cube moments. So firstly, why are these guys freaking out? Well, it's because it's the 2018 Asian Championship, and the blindfold event is starting. But on his very first attempt, Tomoya from Australia memorizes the entire cube and starts turning.
Number 1 to number 200.
And later, he does this. He just broke his first oceanic record, beating mine by half a second. But because every competitor gets the same scramble, I knew I was getting what he had, so I knew I could get something good as well. And I noticed an 8-alg scramble, which has about a 1.5% chance of happening. But I'm pretty nervous, and as I start solving, the cube slips out of my hand. And while I hopelessly try to recover, Tomoya knew he had the record in the bag. So then, by some miracle, there is an 8-alg scramble on the next solve. And this time, Tomoya messes up. And as I'm about to start, decided to just focus on my breathing. And I'm just going to let this solve play out by itself. I just took my record back by 0.03 seconds. And because of this rule, only the best record of any given day officially counts. Meaning Tomoya's first oceanic record is not officially recognized. And I am still disappointed because I'm Asian. But what about this guy who's about to get the luckiest solve of his life? In 2015, Haishin Young would get a 16-second average for the one-handed event, which was pretty good at the time, but nowhere near the top. But on the very first solve of the round, after completing the first 2 steps, the unthinkable happened. The entire last layer solved by itself, which has about a 1 in 62,000 chance of happening, which essentially skips the entire second half of the method he used for solving the cube. And after spending half a second processing what was happening, finally stops the timer, setting a new world record that would last for a grand total of 1 week. Because the guy in the poster took his record back with a 6.88 seconds. And that's why amongst all the recent one-handed world record holders, there's this random guy. But at least his record actually counted. But what about the closest finish in history? Because at the 2019 Red Bull World Cup, brothers Sebastian and Philip are going head-to-head in the semi-finals and are tied 1-1. So they're pretty evenly matched. Although recently Philip did become the world champion with Sebastian getting 3rd, so maybe this was his time to get his revenge. And so they both start solving, and they're both incredibly nervous, going at a similar pace. But then it looks like Sebastian finishes first. But it looks like they both got 8.46 seconds, because if you rewind the video, Philip started solving a little later. And under standard competition rules, this would be a tie. But specifically for the Red Bull format, they also count the 1,000th of a second, which means Sebastian lost against his brother by 0.001 seconds. And so Philip would ride the momentum of his victory and 3-1 his brother, and ultimately they'd finish in 2nd and 3rd places respectively, with Philip edging out his brother yet again. But what about that time someone got a scramble so insane the universe had to stop it? Because in 2022, 3-time world record holder Gianfranco Funke didn't just have 3 solved pieces, but 6, giving him not just an 8-alg scramble, but a 6-alg scramble, which has about a 1 in 100,000 chance of happening. So naturally, he memorizes the entire Rubik's Cube in 4 seconds. And even though his solve is not smooth at all, he's still easily going to smash the record. But then as he stops the timer, it suddenly resets back to 0, meaning he likely hit the reset button by accident. Also, he unfortunately had a corner twist by itself mid-solve, and he did the first turn before the blindfold went down. meaning that on one of the luckiest scrambles ever, he also had all of the unluckiest fails that had nothing to do with his memorization or solution. But what if I told you there was going to be an even crazier scramble at a world championship? Because there's a category called Scube, which is a cubic puzzle where instead of turning the sides, you turn the corners, which also moves the centers. It's kind of weird. And the world record at the time had stood for 4 years at 1.1 seconds. And for decent solvers like the group of those you're about to see, it can take between, say, 5 and 10 seconds to solve. How are these guys suddenly getting 1 second solves? Well, it's because they got this scramble, which, unlike, say, this one, has all of the pieces solved except 3 centerpieces. And what's crazier is that this case is so basic, even a total beginner would know how to both recognize and solve it in the most efficient way possible, with just one algorithm. So it's literally a 1-alg scramble. But even with this insane scramble, some people had some unfortunate mishaps. Like this guy who didn't start the timer, this guy who messed up the very last turn, and I have no idea what happened to this guy. But more importantly, even with all this luck, it seems like no one has broken the 1.1 world record. But even so, at the end of it all, there were 11 national records, not counting those that were broken like right after each other. But wait, hold on a sec. It turns out, behind all of the people at the front, there was a guy at the back called Andrew Huang who quietly broke the record with a 0.93 solve, shattering the world record and the 1 second barrier. And for this one solve, he'd win about $700 US, and he'd get a 6-second average for the round, not even making it to the second one. But what happened to all the less fortunate people? Well, luck obviously matters, but it's more important in terms of what you actually do with it. Like Gianfranco, who in the following year would get an 8-alg scramble and break the South American record with a 4.66. Or in Tomoya's case, who put his tragedy aside, which I kinda caused, and put all his focus into the multiple blindfolded event, where he'd break an oceanic record of solving 25 out of 27 cubes blindfolded, which he actually got to keep. But sometimes it's not just about luck, but outlasting everyone else, because Sebastian, 6 years after losing against his brother by 0.001, and 14 years after breaking his first world record in 2011, in his specialty event, the 4x4 cube, he'd go on to become the 2025 world champion. Anyway, be sure to subscribe and check out these videos.